All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Clarksburg Select Board on Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 at 1 p.m. Could we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, review and approve minutes. Is that from the town meeting? Is that the only minutes we have? Obviously, I was not there, so I can't sign on these. Dan, have you had a chance to look at them?
Yeah, I think, there's just one other spot I wanted to check. That's good, I'll take that. Thank you.
All right, make a motion to approve the minutes of the annual town meeting on Wednesday, May 31st as written. Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Select Board Officers is next up on the agenda. As you may or may not remember, last year I mentioned that if I were elected or chosen to be the chair again, that this year I would step back and let somebody else take it, as this is my my final year on the Select Board. I have a suggestion. It's again, it's only a suggestion. In my opinion, I would like to see Bob Norcross as chair, Dan Haskins as vice chair, and I would be second vice. I don't know if you have any agreements. I certainly believe that Dan is quite capable of being a select board chair himself, but I don't know.
I agree with that. I'm not, no.
I'm fine with that. I just, it used to be tradition that whoever was in their last term was chairman. I don't know if we want to try to keep the tradition going or just go with whoever wants to be chair can be chair. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or not, but I'd be happy to be chair.
Well, I was under the impression that that's kind of where you wanted to go, so, I mean,
Yeah.
as chairman. I know you wanted it last year, and
Yeah,
I said if you, I'm just kind of keeping my word, if you said, I said I would step back and...
yeah, no, I have the time because I'm retired.
Mhm.
So that's why I just volunteered. I'll be chairman, which is fine. But if you want to get back to traditional, I would be willing for that too. So it all depends if how bad you want it or whatever. I certainly will accept it if nominated.
Well, it kind of put me on the spot here, and I have to say I don't really want it that badly. So,
I'll be
yeah,
happy to.
and that would work. Would it work for you?
Yep, that's, whatever works between you two for that, I'm good in either position,
So we make a motion on this? All right, at this point, this time, I'd like to motion that we choose or elect Robert Norcross as chairman of the select board, Dan Haskins as vice chair, and Jeff Levanis as second vice. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting with the planning board. What do you have for planning board members? Okay. So we're looking to appoint Colton Andrews. I read what he submitted. He seems very capable and willing to be on the planning board.
Yeah, I spoke with him after the election because he ran for school committee. And he's looking to get involved with the town, and, we had vacancy there to fill, so I said, get started here, and, you can, as other positions open up, you might be able to go a little higher if you're looking to do that, and.
That'd be good. He's nice to have somebody energetic, enthusiastic. Does the planning board have any?
I was thinking,
Yeah. Planning board have any comments, or?
No, I think we're
I
all
want
in
him for
agreement.
finance committee, but.
I think we're all in agreement.
All in agreement?
Yes.
All right. So at this point, we're
So
done.
that's, to clarify, that's a 1-year seat. It was anyways,
Mhm.
but the procedure is
Until the
the
next
select board
election.
and the planning board, or wherever there's a vacancy left after an election, they can be appointed between the two groups. And it's always for just 1 year, and then the remaining term
What is it?
would have to go up for reelection. But this was a 1-year
It's just a one.
seat anyways.
Gotcha. No, perfect. Thank you.
Because we had a
All
vacancy for a couple of years.
right, wasn't aware of that. Thanks, Karen.
You're gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Colton Andrews to the planning board for 1 year.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, Bob is going to have a list for the 225 committee to add to
Yes.
the appointments.
Okay, so we'll start with the municipal appointments. We're going to start reading those first.
Sure.
You want to take this part, Bob, and you read the 225, or how do you want to do this?
Sure.
Okay, so for fiscal year '24 appointments for 1 year, on the cemetery commissioner, we have Kyle Hurlbut, gas inspector Norman Rolnick, wire inspector Steve Moranti, sewer connection inspector Norman Rolnick, town council is KP Law, emergency management director Michael Williams, emergency management response Carlisle Chip Cheeseboro, fire warden Carlisle Chip Cheeseboro, fire and police Kevin Hempstead, Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management Representative Carl McKinney, Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management Alternate Jeff Levanis. On our Board of Assessors, we have Alan Rotlinger and Tracy Pierce, Police Sergeant Pete Wheeler, Patrol Officers Peter Kirchman, Natasha Antona, and Christopher Ware. Election workers John Fosser, Arlene Vashero, Debbie Bua, Susan Brandon, Chuck Lewitt, Linda Lewitt, Carla Fosser, Deb Roselli, Lori Boudreau, and Mary Rose Kalman. ADA Commission is James Howell for a 5-year term. Recreation Committee, Ed Denault, 5 years. Historic Commission, Joseph Bashika for 3 years. Susan Brandon for 3 years. Lauren Norcross for 3 years. I'm sorry, that's on Council of Aging, is Lauren Norcross for 3 years. And Mary Ann Maroney for 3 years.
All right, and then I'll add the 225th Anniversary Committee. We have,
For a 1-year term.
for 1-year term, yeah, because it's gonna, it's
Oh,
just,
it's 1 year.
I'm gonna be finished in September. So I'm gonna be the chairman of the committee, Susan Brandon is secretary, and John Fosser is treasurer, but not acting. Why we decided to have a treasurer is because we're asking for donations, and we want to make sure we keep track of it and have it at the end, so he said he'd do that, so that's what that is, but it's not like a regular treasurer position. And then we have Chip Cheeseboro, Deb Bull, Chip's from the fire department, Deb's from the library, because they're both celebrating anniversaries. Emily Roselli from the Clarksburg Elementary School, Aaron Scott, Lauren Norcross, Tammy, and Steve Moranti. And that's that.
Okay.
Make a motion as read.
Yeah, so I make a motion for both the municipal and, okay. All right, so at this time, I'd like to make a motion to accept, come on. To accept the appointments for fiscal '24 and for the appointments for the 225 committee as written. Need a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is this a sewer agreement?
Sewer commitment.
Sewer commitment. Okay. just going to read this so people will know what we're signing here. This is obviously the sewer commitment for FY24 first quarter. At their board meeting on June 14, 2023, the Select Board, acting as the town's sewer commissioners, motion to approve the FY24 first quarter sewer commitment as follows. The sewer being $93,002.86, the water being $3,020 for a total of $96,022.86. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the sewer commitment as written. Need a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, interest on incorrect billing to be waived. So understand some real estate bills went out, and
So it's
people
probably-
who were paid were charged interest?
It's primarily from fiscal year '21, and so that year in particular has had a number of errors in billing. And so when the bills did not go out, they were charged interest, of which they shouldn't be. So it's ultimately the responsibility and under the authority of the treasurer and tax collector to do that. She just basically wants your support and your acknowledgement that that in fact is fine. It's a problem that the town owns, the town created, and that, we feel that the residents shouldn't have to be responsible for the errors of the town. And it's really quite simple.
Yeah, I do understand at one period there, when we were out treasurer, there was people, myself, one, we sent in checks and they were never cashed for months, and then I guess some of them were lost. I mean, there's no way to go back.
No, they are going back. That's what's taking so long.
Yeah.
They have to go through turnover and batches over and over to correct these sins of the past, is what I'm saying. And we're trying to be fair.
Yes.
And that's really it in a nutshell. And under mass law, the treasurer is the one who does have that authority. But again, she doesn't want to be doing it in anything less than a transparent manner.
Yeah, and I see that she has written a letter to the select board as well, explaining basically what you just said. Okay. I don't know if you read that. No. So there's nothing to do
She's
on.
doing a great job.
She is.
by the way.
Very delighted.
So there's nothing to approve there, Carl?
No,
It's just an
an
announcement. Okay, so, let's see where we're at. Discuss, review, and or approve resolution regarding, did I skip one here? or-
No.
No, regarding the mattresses and paint products.
Yeah, so one of my other hats, Commissioner of the Solid Waste Management District. So on November 1st of last year, you can no longer throw away your mattresses with your hauler or at a landfill or at a transfer station. They have to be sent to a certified, approved mattress recycler. And the numbers are not pretty whatsoever. We're looking at like 100 plus per mattress. And the mattresses have to be clean, and there's a whole schmeal of regulations. And the ultimate goal is to reduce the waste stream going into landfills and transfer stations, and ultimately, where does it end up? Similarly with paint, So you know we've had a number of paint collections over the 20 years that I've been doing this, that we do paint collections. It would seem that in the same vein that the manufacturers of paint should also take back their unused product for disposal. This would take a lot of the burden and the expense off of what ultimately filters down to the communities to get rid of this stuff. Also, if we don't have some type of a mechanism relative specifically to the mattresses, our fear is that we're going to find a whole lot of them on the side of the road. And one of the purposes of joining the Solid Waste Management District was to reduce that, which we have. And we do find a mechanism for disposal of a lot of things that your curbside trash doesn't take. But at the same time, you know, costs are going up everywhere. And in light of the great potential of now us having to be responsible, because what are you going to do? You're not going to leave the mattresses on the side of the road, and we don't have that financial capacity to start paying for this. So this is a resolution that has been filtered down from the state and the players in that to ask that they legislate this as a requirement, that you're basically going to take back what they, you know, it's kind of like you have to take back a used car when you buy a new one. Mm-hmm. And so if the select board could find its way to support that resolution, I would get the signatures necessary and submit this to the Solid Waste Management District so they can submit it to our legislators.
So what is the mechanism to have the manufacturers take back their
Or the sale company. So if you buy it from ABC,
you bring your old
mattresses, you know, and they deliver, then they're going to take back. Kind of like what they do with refrigerators. And the thing is, now the Freon is worth so much money, they'll take back refrigerators for free. Now that it's in their interest.
Yeah, of course.
But that's not how it used to be. And they say that there's an awful lot that can be recycled out of a mattress. And don't ask me the particulars because I don't know. But at the same time, you know, our environment is fragile enough. And it seems to make a great deal of sense that everybody shares the responsibility of getting rid of this stuff in a proper manner.
Let's make a motion to approve the resolution regarding mattresses and paint products as written. Do you have that resolution? Do we need to sign that or anything?
Yes, we will. I'll sign this. We have that. So I just need to count ayes and nays and abstentions, and we're good.
So this is more like a petition?
Yes.
Yeah.
To the legislature.
All right, let's move on to number 11, discuss and or approve the Historical Commission tag sale.
Point of order, did we vote on that?
We did.
Because we're going to need, I need to count ayes and nays.
Oh, I thought you needed to do that, okay.
Yeah, so I need a motion to approve the resolution and vote, and then we're good.
Okay, so I thought I did that, maybe not. All right, make a motion to approve the resolution regarding mattresses and paint products.
Second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
So it's unanimous, so
Cool.
that's all you need?
great, thank you.
Okay. Discuss and or approve Historical Commission tag sale with location. So I understand the Historical Commission would like to have the tag sale here at Town Hall?
Yes, and we've had some discussions with the Historical Commission. So they would like to set a date to have it here at Town Hall and use the money because we're trying to put in a nice floor for what will be their historical museum in the front room that has an exterior entrance. They also asked if we could perchance consider that if a resident wanted to bring their own table and for $5 or some fee that they determine appropriate, also participate in that tag sale with the clear understanding everything they bring in they're going to take out. And because I am aware, and I believe it was in Adams, they had a townwide tag sale, and ultimately the town ended up having to collect and dispose of a whole lot of things that didn't sell. You bring it in, you take it out, we're not taking care of your tag sale leftovers. And I think as long as that is adhered to, I don't see any problem.
So then the residents would just be charged for
$5.
their table, yeah, 5 or 10,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And then they would keep their money on the tag sale. They would
Yep.
just give the $10 or $5 to the,
Yes,
okay?
yep. So if you're okay with that,
Do you have a date for that?
not yet. And I'll leave that up to them.
Okay.
I would assume it's going to be sometime over the summer.
Okay, make a motion to approve the Historical Commission tag sale here at Town Hall for a date yet to be determined. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discuss and plan formation of Agricultural Commission.
Okay, so I did reach out to Dan Tanner. I got his phone number. I have not heard anything back as of yet. I did invite Martha through my message that I left him. So I would ask that we table this until our next meeting because I really think that they should be here. How the state, that handout that we had before town meeting, is that maybe there's a steering committee and establishment of a purpose.
Okay.
And terms and who is going to be on it type of a thing, so we're going to have to look for volunteers too. But I don't want to do anything blindly here, so my thoughts are is that if we could delay this for 2 weeks, and maybe we can have a better connection, and because Martha is the spearheader of, I don't even know if that's a word.
Okay.
But she is the person who brought this to the fore. So I would certainly like her input and have a meeting of the minds, if you will.
Okay, let's table that for the next select board meeting. And you're gonna reach out to Martha?
I will.
Okay.
On the next one, we kind of already did that by appointing the 225s with the appointments. So I think that this, as a formality, we don't really need to do this again.
The Crossroad Bridge announcement. Bob, do you have that? Want to take that?
I do. We got a letter, Carl, did you get a copy of that letter yet?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a letter from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation that they have appointed the bridge PROGIS number, basically a contract number. So therefore, it's Mass DOT is going to take it over, look into it. It's on the list to get fixed. It may be up to 5 years because these lists are all, by what other bridges have top priority, like the Brown Street Bridge in North Adams, it might be take over, and other bridges they close. But at least it's on the list, and I got an email from Berkshire Regional Planning that said this is the first major step of getting it, so that's all good news.
That's great.
And I know it's an inconvenience for everybody, but I think it's still worth even having inconvenience, even if it's 3, 4, 5 years, to get the money and to get them to do a bridge right there, so.
So this is a definite, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in the year 2017, we did some preliminary engineering on that. And at that time, so we're looking at 6 years ago, to replace it as is 6 years ago, and we know, prices never change.
Yeah.
That it would be $2+ million to replace it as it is. And so you can see that their patience is a virtue on this particular item. That certainly is money the town does not have, and we certainly appreciate the patience of the residents over the number of years that it's been at one lane. If we hadn't done one lane, we'd had weight restrictions, which would have affected the fire department as well as the
Buses,
town.
plows.
Yeah.
I think, Ron, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question.
Yeah.
I know back a few years back, that bridge isn't in the best shape to begin with. Has there been any thought of a temporary bridge in place? Because you talk 5, 6 years down the road.
Right.
So,
There hasn't, and why there hasn't is because Mass DOT inspects that every 2 years.
Okay.
And they will tell us if they feel that there needs to be something else done.
Have they done a recent inspection?
I'm not sure when the last one was, I don't know if it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel.
And I think that's one of the drivers, is that it went from a 5 to a 4.
That's right, it did. They just did
Okay.
that this last, right. I
Remember, was
seeing
that
it now.
report in the fall or over the winter? I remember we got the report via email on that.
Yeah, so it's been fairly recent, but in that same vein, the state, as I understand it, has 4 Bailey bridges, which they've been in existence since World War II.
Right.
You know, they used to put them over the Rhine and
Yeah.
the Danube to invade Europe with tanks and stuff like that, so they're quite heavy duty. So if it were to fail completely, that would be the option that we would have to explore, is to put a temporary bridge
Yeah.
over the
Okay.
bridge.
Right. That's good it's in their hands, because they have professional inspectors and
Or you
everything.
got a number?
Yeah, got a number, and I say it's an inconvenience, but I think it's worth the wait,
That's good.
because
Good
we just
job.
don't have the money.
Good job.
And also, we will, as a select board, and Carl too, keep pressure that we can on Mass DOT to make sure it doesn't fall off the list or get, pushed down. We want it to be up there, so we'll keep nagging them.
Yeah, if you lose that, man, that's catastrophic.
Yeah.
It is. Well, it separates the town.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, update on Millard Avenue auction. So that's going to be the 21st of this month.
It'll close on the 21st, so it'll open before that. The walk-through is going to be on July 11th, and the town is not bound to take the highest bidder if it doesn't meet what we want, just so that you're aware. And there's personal property and stuff like that, which we do have title to per our attorneys, which we don't want to pay to clean it out, because that could cost some money, so that's going to go with it. And I have clarified that with town council as well as the auction company to make sure that it's clear that, we're not going to trash it out. Just, it's as is, where is.
Yep, that's great.
So we're moving along on that, and had the weed whacking done, so it's looking okay.
Good.
So when you say it's closed the 28th of this month? is when-
21st.
The 21st of this month?
Yeah.
And then it'll be July what?
The 21st, we'll have an offer on the table of which then
Gotcha.
the board can consider.
Okay.
And so it has to be your decision. But yes, so we can be rid of that, and hopefully, it looks like a solid house. Hopefully, the new owners will improve it, and, it's a nice neighborhood. So I think that's a positive in many ways.
Okay. Discuss the recent heavy, going back to that Millard Avenue, I'm sure you have a figure, the town has a figure of what it's owed? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, discuss recent heavy rainstorms and the townwide effects on that rainstorm.
Yeah, so we've had a number of inquiries, and people wanting us to go on private property and to
For cleanup?
for cleanup and for cleaning out rivers and streams, which we cannot do. We cannot assist anybody, period. If it was our property, that's one thing, but if it's not our property, we cannot. That is not legal. You cannot give or render aid unless it's an emergency, like such a tornado or something like that. That's a different thing. But as far as, and I'm going to share a little story. So on October 8th of 2005, I remember it well, in a 12-hour period, we got 9.5 inches of rain. I had never had water in my basement. My house is very old. It's got a dry stone foundation, which is basically Swiss cheese. And I was helping somebody build a house. Lo and behold, I came home, I had 3.5 feet of water in my basement. I lost both furnaces, hot water heaters, yada, yada, yada. The only assistance that I got was from the fire department to pump out my basement. That's it. I didn't ask the town to come and rearrange everything in my backyard to not have it happen again. I dug a moat around the house to drain the water, and I haven't had a problem since. So, you know, people can't expect the town to go on private property and remedy their problems, whether it be through neglect, benign or not, unless it's impacting town infrastructure, and it's not.
And where would that, and like I say, with emergencies, that's where the fire department, police department, you got
Yes,
emergency.
and you have declared emergency, and
Right.
yes.
But for, and I know it's sad, because I know some people need help.
Exactly, you know.
And I've had a driveway wash out and had to spend, $1,500 to get it replaced, and where would it end? Because everybody has storm damage.
We have our hands full taking care of what we have.
Yeah, well, look at back in March when we had that 36 inches of snow, all the tree branches that were everywhere.
And it took
I
a
mean, I had
long
actually
time.
people call me, want to know if the town, DPW come up and help them, move branches. I said, no, we cannot do that. We'd have to
No.
do it for everybody, so.
That's it, and then nothing would get done. And, understand too, we don't allow, as a policy, the DPW workers to take a vacation from November 1st to April 30th. So now you have, and you only have 3 guys, so between the 3 of them, there's 9 weeks vacation. So there's 9 weeks
In the summer.
in the summer
In
when we're down a guy all the time. It never, it's always that way. So, the primary focus at this time of the year, in addition to having to clear up all of the branches that went into the road, is to pave the potholes.
Yeah.
And so that's, they're right now, they're pretty busy. So, we feel for the problems you had. We can give you some ideas, but ultimately it is not the town's responsibility, and I just wanted to make sure that we shared that with the people, that they
Well, like I say
understand
too,
that.
there's, for instance, Horgan Road up the road, there's a culvert that had caved in there a little bit. They just fixed it, and the storm came down and it blew a hole right in it, so Lumpy's gotta go back and fix that. But I'm just saying, there's enough damage in the public area that's gonna keep these guys busy.
All right. I think 17 and 18 can go together, assessing plan moving forward, and visiting and measuring and inspecting each house over the next 2.5 years.
So we're in an interim year right now, and so we're in a full revow for 2026, and we have 754 houses in town. Each one has to be visited, inspected, measured, room count, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, outbuilding count, you get the idea. And, this is not something that I relish in any manner, shape, way, or form, but also understanding that assessors, like tax collectors, like accountants, are scarcer than hen's teeth. I do have the certification for being an assessor. I think that Rochelle has been incredibly adept at being the assessor's clerk. And so I would like to consider, but I'm not asking for a vote right now, because I think that I would like to review a couple of things moving forward that we may want to consider a combination of Rochelle and myself having to execute this task over the next 2.5 years. There's, I think, $8,500 in the wage account, which would be split, if you're okay with that, between her and me. But again, I would like to hold off on this for at least the next 2 weeks, and we do that. Now, I'd also like to, make sure that the people are clear. Our goal would be to attempt to do 30 houses per quarter, which we will send out those notices with the tax bill. So it would be the homeowner's responsibility to make an appointment, so that everybody's on the same page. I am running into one issue I've been to a house twice and have not gotten in yet. And so the public needs to understand, you don't have to let the assessor in the house, and that's fine. But also understand you cannot contest your assessed value if you don't. And that is the law. So how you have to look at assessing is that it's to make it the tax burden fair. And so sometimes over time, people do things, improve their homes or things of that nature that are not captured. Or houses are partially demolished or what. I mean, you can understand that there's a whole host of issues. So what this does is to basically redistribute the tax burden fairly. And that's the whole purpose of this. It's not to, say, well, your house has gone up because you added a deck or something like that. It's to account for that deck, but also make sure that everybody who put a deck on is captured too, and not single out anyone in particular. So I'm just giving you a heads up that this is where we're kind of thinking of going. I do want to talk to Boston about this a little bit further before I make a recommendation, but I just want to give you a heads up that this is probably where we're going to have to go. And that's kind of where I'm at.
So, one second, Deb, I'll get right to you. So, real quick, are we not looking for an assessor at this point, or are
We still have it posted,
Okay.
and we're not getting not any interest whatsoever.
And if you and Rochelle were to do this,
Yeah.
would this be on a Friday?
Yeah.
This would be
Yeah.
we would take you away from your,
Correct.
okay, all right.
Yeah, that'd be my only concern, Carl, is just, I think you're spread thin now.
I am. I'll be honest with you.
And,
I'm not relishing this at all, but I also understand what the needs of the town are.
Yeah, well, that's my initial thought. Also, I hate to put any more on both of you than, you
I mean-
you already have going.
I'm very impressed with Rochelle's adeptness. I would even propose at some point to send her to the school to get certified. But that's a decision and a proposal for a later date.
Yep.
But there are things I wanted you to at least have in the background of your mind that, there are options for us to move forward. The assessing is incredibly important. It's incredibly detailed. It's incredibly computer. You have to be computer savvy. And, we do have a contract with Mayflower to assist us. And that's how we were able to set the tax rate this year. So if it hadn't been for their assistance in my licensing and Rochelle's diligence, we wouldn't have had the tax rate. So.
No, and we appreciate that, and I have no problem, like, if Rochelle can work on Fridays to do that, I'm fine. Again, the only thing in the back of my mind, I just, like Jeff said, I don't like to have one person in charge of too much too, because if anything ever happened to that person.
You're singing to the choir, my
If
friend.
anything ever happened to that person, or,
Yes.
sick or whatever, you got two slots that are open.
You know,
Yeah,
we're all
And, that's the only thing that I worry about in a case like this, but I realize we haven't been able to get an assessor and we gotta move on. So I
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing, I'm not complaining, but,
If-
it's not the best situation.
No, it isn't.
It's a lot.
And perchance, if somebody were to show up, I would dance a jig
Okay.
on this table.
Deb, you had a question?
Well, Carol, you're certified as an assessor, correct?
I am,
And Rochelle's not.
correct. She would be the clerk still, but doing a
Okay,
lot.
but she wouldn't be doing the inspections, you would be?
Correct.
Okay. And my other question is, I've lived here for 45 years and I've never had anybody come into my house.
I can't speak to that.
Have you, have any of you?
No, but
Liz Shiner was the last one I can remember.
Yeah, and I actually was, I went to UMass for a weekend to study, and I was Liz's like assistant for a while, and we went around, I actually went around with her.
Yeah.
And even though I wasn't certified, I couldn't go in, but that was basically outside. I don't think we went in.
Yeah, I've had the outside.
And the houses, they would come, they would measure it, they'd ask questions, what rooms you got, but they were very, she was very good at not going inside, because most people don't like that.
And again, we'll dot the i's and cross the t's and make sure that we have a plan that we can execute.
Yeah, I know a lot of houses even up by us, Deb, I think there's been additions put on and
Oh,
and
yeah.
things put on, and I don't even know if they gotten building permits for these things, so. we're
But I've just
definitely-
never had anybody come in my house.
Yeah.
I've had them come to my door, ask, do you have carpeting, but they've never actually come inside my house. So I was just curious about that.
The last time I can remember would be Liz Shiner, and that's going back,
Mid-90s, I think, or late 90s.
yes, late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so she didn't even come in my house, so.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
I've been here since 1987, and I've never had anybody come into my house. I've had them come to the house to reassess, and that's fine. Invasion of privacy, that's a big deal, and I don't think somebody should be compensated on a higher tax rate because they don't let them in for whatever reason or whatever purpose, whether somebody's sick, whether they're hoarders and their house is a wreck, or anything like that. But I know you guys don't want to hear this, but I'm going to throw it on the table because you said in all fairness. So in all fairness, businesses, and I know Carl's going to frown on this, but businesses should be paying their fair tax. Now, I'm not saying that they should be paying what North Adams pays, or Cheshire, or Lanesboro, or Pittsfield, but they should be paying a fair tax for making money off their property. So if I'm living at my property and the guy next door is running a garage, and he's paying the same taxes that I am, but he's making money to pay his taxes, how's that fair?
Well, how would we account for contractors who are using their garage to store plumbing
I agree,
supplies?
but I'm
The other
talking
thing-
businesses like
So you have about 140.
Bakers, I'm talking about the restaurant up on the hill.
And the assessment
Farmer's Garage.
picks up that.
Marijuana.
And if they pack up and leave, which I don't think is gonna happen, fair tax is fair tax, no matter how you wanna look at it.
Well, they're already assessed based upon the value of the building. But I will say this too, is that we have $145 million in residential evaluations and less than 2 million in,
How many,
less than 2 million in assessed value for businesses. So you could quadruple their taxes, and it would only make pennies different on your taxes. It's not going to make any difference, sir. So the bottom line is you're going to drive what few businesses this town has out, because I will tell you, there are businesses that have located in the town because of that.
I know they have.
They've escaped, $40 and plus per thousand taxes in towns that have a split tax rate. So you look at some towns, and a former president said, and I've always remembered this, the more you tax something, the less you get of it. And so if the desire is to drive what little businesses we have out of town, that would be the way to do it, yep. Absolutely. I'm not in favor of it. I was never in favor of it. I wouldn't support it.
Well, basically, reassessing somebody's house or everybody's house is gonna go up on taxes on everybody.
That's
I don't
not
know how
necessary.
many houses are in back taxes at this point.
We're working
But I
on it.
know there's quite a few, so now you wanna raise the taxes, and especially on people that.
Well,
can't
you're
afford
making
to
an
pay
assumption that's not
taxes.
correct, because the assessed value, and there's an inverse relationship. So, assuming that you have a static budget of $1 million, and you have $1 million in assessed value in the community, your tax rate would be $1. If your assessed value goes up to $2 million, your tax rate has to go to 50 cents. There's an inverse relationship. So the only way your taxes are going to go up is A, if you do substantial renovations, or B, the government is spending more money. And those are the only two ways it's going up. So by reassessing the property, whether it goes up or down, it should have no effect on your tax bill per se. It's making it fair so that the people who have extravagant homes versus people who have regular homes, that there is a difference that is recognized, and that's the law. And I don't make the law.
No, I agree with that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you don't want to drive your businesses out, but you don't want to drive new people coming in if our tax rate's higher because of the houses being more valued today than they were last year
Well,
or 2 years ago.
Our median tax burden in Clarksburg, I believe, is $3,200, and the median tax burden in the Commonwealth is $6,700. So we're significantly less than the state average. So to say that we're overtaxed is, I'm not following that line of thinking
Well,
either.
and then a couple points there. One is like when the values go up, they go out, the assessed value goes up, it's for the area. I mean, so it's not like Clarksburg is going to go way up and North Adams go down. It's the whole Berkshire County go up. And then I also had this discussion with a few people that, you know, they're pretty well off. They said, just go up on the tax rate. Inflation. I said, inflation is the assessed value, like Carl said. So when inflation goes up and you assess people more, the tax rate should go down,
Yeah.
not up, because you don't want to overtax people. So it's kind of a fine line. I understand what you're saying. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it, but I do agree that because Clarksburg does not have a lot of business and we don't want to lose it, and I don't think going up, having a split tax rate would gain hardly anything, that, in my opinion, it's not worth it either.
I mean, in the city of
Understand how this
Boston,
works.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there just like I am.
Oh.
And when you go to their door, you are going to get, pushed aside. You are going to be sent out. And it's probably going to be the
Well-
first job somebody's going to have.
well, we're not going to go unannounced, so we're going to give them a piece of paper for them to call and make an appointment. And if they don't, so be it.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're gonna come knocking on your door on Saturday or Sunday morning saying, oh, you gotta let me in. No, that's not how we wanna approach this. We wanna be professional, we wanna have an appointment, and we will make that attempt. If that fails, it'll be noted, and we'll go from there. No, you don't have to let me in, or anybody else who's an assessor here in town. I understand that, but also there are ramifications for doing so.
Right.
So, the bottom line is, we're gonna let the homeowner be in the driver's seat to make the appointment, and we're here Monday through Thursday, and a lot of other times, and we're not doing a whole lot at a time. We're trying to space it out so that we can meet the deadline of 2026 in a timely manner. That's all. And if I had my druthers, I wouldn't want to do this either. But I have no choice because we're in an evaluation year. It's coming up quicker than you think. And if we don't start planning now, then what happens if we get to 2026 and the Department of Revenue tells us that, well, we're not going to certify your tax rate because you didn't do your reval. You got to do the reval. It's not a we want to or don't want to. It's we have to.
Okay.
So. But, thank you for...
I think Liz made a point back years ago too, that I think why she didn't go in houses was because she said that they shouldn't be assessing like on cosmetics. And like a lot of houses look really nice inside, but they really aren't that expensive. What they've done, they just keep it up, they keep it clean. And I'm like, oh, look at this nice house, oh, we should assess this more.
Well, you know what's...
It's a basic thing, is the square footage, if the rooms are
Yes.
heated, how many bathrooms, and
Exactly.
that can all be done outside by measurement and by asking the people, so.
And I'm not adverse to that.
No, I agree. I don't like people coming in my house looking around either, because we do feel like it's an invasion of privacy. But yeah, we want to make sure we capture, we don't want people lying to, I got one bathroom when they got three.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Right.
I assume this is an economic reason we're doing it, you're doing it, because do you consider it costly going to an outside service to go and do this?
We've talked with a number of other communities that have had that, and they're very unhappy with the results, and that it wasn't done properly. And we don't know what that would cost.
Because that's quite an endeavor to put on yourself.
Oh, I
I
know that.
agree.
And it is.
Absolutely.
It is very, very
We're
much
not
so.
looking at anything else but your job that you have as a town administrator. That's a very busy, powerful job.
And the commissioner of the solid waste district, head of the Bixby Water District, I mean, you name it. You know what? And I'm delighted that Mr. Andrews has stepped up to the plate to go on the planning board. And, please understand, I'm not a spring chicken. A lot of the people running this town are 60 plus. And there will come a time, and it's not far away, when there will be nobody left to run the town. And we need to train the next generation on how to run a town. And it's not the same as picking somebody up out of a commercial enterprise, the accounting by itself is not the same, and people say, well, accounting is accounting, and in its generic form, yes, it is. It's numbers adding and subtracting. But what I'll liken it to is in a business setting, you account for a profit of making a widget or providing a product. But that's not how you account in a municipal setting. And so what I liken it to, for simplicity, is you have a bunch of bins where you put money for wages, you put money for heating, you put money for electricity, wages, things of that nature. And those money in that bin can only be spent for that. You can't take the wage account and go buy oil for it. And so it's called fund accounting versus for-profit accounting. There is a significant difference. We have had experiences where people come from the private sector and don't understand that, and then they get behind the driver's wheel, if you will, and freeze up because it's not the way they were trained. And I've gone to lengths to lobby the governor, the lieutenant governor, the head of the Department of Revenue. They need to train a new generation and expose people to municipal finance and municipal operations. We need to train a new generation. We better start pretty soon because it's going to cause one hell of a problem. We've struggled terribly with the town in getting staffing. And we're not a wealthy community. And what has been happening is that the more well-heeled communities who have deeper pockets are the ones who are getting the experienced people, and they're cannibalizing their neighbors of their staffing with offers of more money. We've been a victim of that ourselves. And so we need to increase the supply of qualified and trained people to know and to pursue municipal careers in the future, because I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be here in 10 years. It's not happening. We need a new generation to step up to the plate and learn the government, and it takes time. There are many nuances, there's many laws, there's rules and regulations, good God, but it can be dealt with, it needs to be dealt with if you're going to have a town. It is what it is.
All right, if there's no questions, let's move on to...
I just have one quick question. So, tentatively, when are you thinking about starting the inspections on homes? Because I did have one resident ask me about it.
I'm thinking that we're probably going to want to send them out with the bills that are going out at the end of July. Toward the middle to end of July, they're going to go out for, I believe, August payment. So
hoping to start like this fall,
I'm
possibly?
hoping to, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a little bit before fall, yes.
Right, no problem. Sorry, Jeff.
That's okay, and obviously they're going to be all Friday appointments type thing?
Well, as long as we can make that appointment work for the homeowner. I mean, I'll come in Friday if I have to make up time for here. I mean, either way, I'll account for it.
And
But we're not there yet.
We're going to revisit this in a couple of weeks anyway, right?
Yes, so I'll have a more definitive operational plan in 2 weeks.
School lift update.
So we have the engineer and Tom Bona, and I would like to put a shout out to Tom. He's been a big help. So he's working with the engineer to get the architectural access permit for the stair lift. That's all we're waiting for, and then we've already gone out to bid. We've got that. Now we need to get the permit, and once we have the permit, then we're ready to go and, work around the school's time frame to the best of our ability, and have that be completed as soon as possible. But again, the wheels of government turn slowly, and so as soon as Boston gets what they need and can act upon it, then we'll have it.
You may or may not know this. What I always worried about was they were saying it's going to be like 3 months for material. Does the contractor have to wait for that permit, or can he order the materials?
Yeah, they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the contract.
Okay, meeting with state officials.
Okay, so we had sent out an invitation to Representative Barrett and to Paul Mark due to their budget commitments in Boston. They were unable to schedule with us. So we're hopeful that we will get one either in late summer or in early fall. Obviously, one of the issues that we would like to address is that former Senator Adam Hines had gotten the school roof replacement into the state's capital budget, and it's only there for 5 years. And as I understand it, it's going to be expiring very soon.
June 30th.
Very, very soon. So we've asked our representative and our state senator, Paul Mark, that we would like to show them the work that we've done at the elementary school. And we've pumped in well over $1 million of town money in the school over the last 6 years. It's a viable school. Our population in the school is rising.
So we would look for this meeting with Paul Mark or his assistant sometime before June 30th.
Yeah, and my strong preference would be for the senator himself. And then also I've reached out to the Director of Rural Affairs, Ann Goby, which is a newly created position. She was a former senator in central Massachusetts. And she's joined the Healy administration. And so this is a newly created position that Maura Healy, our governor, has created to deal with rural issues. So I've reached out to her and went in length about the payment in lieu of taxes program and how it impacts Clarksburg in such a negative way, much more so than any other community because of our small size to begin with. If you look at a map, if you ever get the Shopper's Companion or the Penny Saver or whatever, first thing on the inside cover you have a map of Berkshire County, and we're this little, not even half the size of a postage stamp. We're the smallest community land-wise in all of Berkshire County, and yet 53% of our community is owned by the Commonwealth, and we get a whopping $26,000, which is unacceptable. So my suggestion is that they should add another $1,000 per percent on top of what they give us now to at least make it somewhat equitable. We need a tax base. If we don't have a tax base, then we cannot provide the services that our residents deserve. It's really the simple. So, and I got a very positive and very quick response from Ann Goby, which I am delighted. I'm thankful, and I will be meeting with her tomorrow.
Carl, on this roof, I mean, we've been hearing about this for years and years.
Yep, 5 years.
And it expires.
Yes.
So shouldn't we be meeting with Paul Mark before?
Get him on the phone this week or
If
something.
it expires, then
He can put it back in. It's kind of like how you would say it's like a catch-all. So you get to put it in, but it's only the governor who can take it out. And so for whatever reason, the former administration decided not to do that. And I have a suspicion it's from misinformation that they had received. That's why we would like a in-person visit to demonstrate that the school's not falling down.
and we put like $750,000 into
Over
it.
$1 million.
All right, well, so,
Yeah.
I mean, we're certainly.
We've made the effort.
Exactly.
And
Which was a prerequisite for them releasing the money.
You would think. I think that if the pandemic has showed us anything, is that smaller is better. And I think that we need to run with that. So we're working on that.
So, I mean, what can we do in the meantime here to try to get these funds? Is there anything we can do or anyone we can call to?
Senator Paul Mark's office, he has one in Pittsfield. I also think he's got a very capable assistant, Casey Pierce, who I did lobby quite a bit at our managers meeting. And so I would say that if people would like to contact your legislator, they are available on mass.gov, and just type in mass.gov space legislature. And it's going to give you all kinds of options, phone numbers, email, their street address if you're into, and I will say it's the most effective manner, a handwritten, because they're so rare nowadays, a handwritten letter of support for putting the school roof into the capital budget for the state would be most appreciated and most helpful.
And I do have a couple of emails out that I'm waiting to hear back, so I'm also trying to work on this to go around.
If it expires June 30th, I don't want to.
We gotta
So,
move.
just make sure I'm understanding
moving.
correctly, so obviously we're lobbying Paul Marks, but is it the governor that says, yes, give him that money for it?
After
or-
it's put in by the legislature,
But
yeah.
it's already there already.
It's there already, but
So we need the governor to release
The
it.
governor has to release, the
Governor.
governor's office through A&F,
Yeah.
Administration and Finance, they are the ones that have to release it.
Yeah.
And with Tara Barnes and myself, we have a two-page thing, which you've seen with all the improvements, because it's not just $1 million put into it. There's been a lot of labor
Free of charge.
from volunteers.
Yeah, of course.
And we've done everything we've been asked to do to show that Clarksburg is a support of the school. So I've sent that out to people, and I'm trying to also make contacts. And I heard back from one today with positive, but I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. But I'm also trying to work to
Yeah,
get that going.
no, because really, we only have 2 weeks,
Right.
2 weeks left to do this, and,
Right.
you know, it can't happen in a snap of a finger on the last day of the month.
And Paul Mark did say a while back that if we couldn't get it released by June 30th, he would file for a one-year extension, but he's got to do that. But again, we're under the gun. And
Yeah.
we'll know in 2 weeks if we got any good feedback or anything from
any
it.
traction, yeah.
It's just
I'll keep you
the level of
updated.
frustration between waiting for years and years and years for the bridge, waiting years and years and years for the roof it's almost unbearable. I mean, it's just, the money's there.
It's the plight of a small town. It is, and
It's just the money's there.
Yeah, it shouldn't
Just
be this
release
hard.
the money.
well, the money's there, the state is swimming in cash, and we're not.
I know, I'm not trying to get off point here, it's just between the.
Venting your frustration, I've been doing it every day since I've been here, but, you know, it's what it is.
I'm telling you, it's just amazing. Middle Road update, maybe a little bit of good news here.
Yes, so I've enclosed the Middle Road paving and related work bid and construction phase schedule. So we're moving toward getting it done. What we're doing is we're doing the permitting, because we're also through Chapter 90 funding the culvert work separate from the Mass Works grant, because the Mass Works grant is just for $1 million. And given the cost of pavement, and inflation has hit everything across the board, and of course, pavement is partly oil. So to take some pressure off of the Mass Works grant, we used the winter rot money, which the state did release completely because of supply chain issues. Many communities could not spend it before their initial deadline. So the guardrails over near the state park are being done with the RAT money. The culvert, not too far from your house,
In front of Mike Torkia's house.
yeah, is, and that's $90,000 for one culvert.
Oh, I knew that's a big area, it's gotta be addressed. Now, does the town, because of Chapter 90 funds, does the town do the culvert, or we just use that money for the contractor to do the culvert?
We're having a contractor do it
Okay.
with that money.
Okay,
And I don't think that
And that's not gonna.
environmentally qualified, shall we say.
That's fine, but that's not gonna hold up the
No.
project.
So they're in tandem, they're doing the permitting for both projects at the same time. And then, and Middle Road is longer than just that one project. So I also have in front of you the proposed estimate for pre-engineering the southern section of Middle Road so that it will enable us to go for a MassWorks grant again next year. And part and parcel of that process, as we discussed earlier, is going to require some actual hard numbers that they want to look at. And so with your blessing, that I would like to, as soon as we're in the new fiscal year, because we did put the money in the budget, to proceed with the pre-engineering for the southern section of Middle Road. And so how people can look at it, and there is a method to my madness. So Middle Road, north and south, basically. So once we get these two projects out of the way, we will have a new north-south. The West Cross Road is in good shape still. Ultimately, Hope and North Eagle are going to need to be done, but North Eagle has some sewer and water line issues that we should address before we blow through $1 million paving that road. Cross Road, it also needs to be done. So we're trying to get our heavy traveled areas, the spine of our transportation system done, I guess for the lack of a better analogy. So you see where we are with the pre-engineering. I'm just got to find which pile of pay. Okay, it's this one. So it comes to $7,900, which is actually pretty good. So if you're okay with that, then as soon as we get into the new fiscal year, I'll give you the go-ahead.
Okay with that, and I think we talked about before, and talking to a couple engineers and stuff down, that southern part probably can just be a mill and fill.
Yeah.
Which is, first of all, easier to get grant for, because the MassWorks, they like to see as much pavement down as possible. And the cold in place, which we're doing on the upper hand because of all the culverts.
Yes.
You can't do as much because
Right.
you're doing full depth excavation and everything.
And
So-
the road is more surface defects as opposed to the over near the state park. It's got many
Major
more
problems.
different. Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, that would be what we're shooting for that southern half.
And I did include a couple of drafts and drawings, relative to the culvert and stuff that our engineers do. So we should be okay for that also. Let's see.
Any questions on that? Anything you want to add, Bob?
No.
Okay, Berkshire Regional Planning Commission agreement to apply for net zero emissions for our municipal buildings.
Yes. So I did give you guys all a copy of memorandum of understanding.
That's what it looks like right here.
Yeah.
So the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and the town of Clarksburg can work together and to reduce our carbon emissions, increase our energy efficiency, thereby reducing our costs. And so my goal would be to have them continue to assist us with the Green Communities report preparation. There's a lot of technical aspects to that which I'm not good at. I'm going to be right up front with you. There's things I don't understand, and so that would be good. But also to get our municipal buildings into a net zero carbon emission position. So it would be good for the environment, but it also would be good for our bottom line. And in addition, we did get permission for a solar array from town meeting at the landfill site. And so I did have a discussion with Schertl, but don't ask me his last name because I forgot it, from the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. So my thoughts were that they have what they call as net metering credits. And so I discussed at length that, there are a number of people that are also in the electrical aggregation. So would it be possible, once a solar array was at the landfill, if there were net metering credits, which in days of yore were 25%, and it's changed a little bit, and I'm not an expert on this, but I know where I think we should go, is that could those be applied, because the town already has net metering credits from a facility in Connecticut, but could we get net metering credits out of the facility located here in town to be applied to the residents' electric bills in addition to the aggregation of electricity, which has reduced our costs considerably? Understanding, like right now through November, it's 9.9 cents per kilowatt with Colonial Power as our aggregator in tandem with 9 other towns and the city of North Adams. And it will go up in November, but it's still going to be way less than the 35-40 cents you're paying through National Grid. But also that could we have them do some hand-holding for us, if you will, to get us to that point, and capacity building. And so trying to reduce our emissions and trying to reduce our utility bills for our resident population is I think, a very desirable area. This is not going to cost us anything.
Okay.
And I would just like your blessing that you're okay with us going and applying for the net zero emissions, and assistance with the solar and assistance with the green community paperwork, and I can get this out in short order.
So do we need a motion that, Carl?
I would appreciate one.
All right, make a motion to allow Carl to pursue the BRPC agreement to apply for net zero emissions for our municipal buildings. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I
And I will need, well, habits die hard. I was going to say, Jeff, I need time to sign this after work. I'm going to need you to sign it after work, Chief Executive Officer. Okay.
All right, grants for the MVP, digital equity, broadband, MassWorks, etc.
Do you want to handle MVP, Bob?
Yeah, the MVP, the grant's been down for, it's almost $250,000. But I talked to Courtney, and she said that they won't vote on that to approve until August. So everything's sort of on hold until August, but she feels confident that we will get it. And with that money, if we do get it, they'll hire 2 engineers. One is going to be for landscaping, and one's going to be an engineer for the water control. And they will come up with a plan from that to relieve the water around the Four Corners area, which is going to extend all over past where Lincoln Drive is there, and all the town field up to the school, senior center, all around there. So hopefully that'll be going. That's that for that one.
And the digital equity and the broadband, I'm kind of going to try to marry those two together. So the digital equity is a grant for making sure that broadband is not broadband, but that to study to see who does not have broadband, I should say. And so Berkshire Regional Planning Commission is going to have an event at some point to query the residents as to what their needs are, and what are the roadblocks for adequate broadband distribution. So the broadband is actually to do some of the implementation, and so we all are aware that the community senior center, the internet service there is slower than frozen molasses, and it's been that way forever. And so we would like to possibly, and this is where we're thinking we're not there yet. I've engaged with Jason, but I've also engaged with the library, and we'll get to that momentarily, to upgrade the broadband service. And then part of the broadband is also, you know, what services would your people need, like for instance during the pandemic when people had to go to like McDonald's to get internet service type of thing. And so I had thought about maybe having a small computer lab, if you will, of a couple of computers. I don't think that we're going to be able to do a whole lot more than that. And maybe some training for some of the elderly folks who may not be terribly adept at computer operation and security and things of that nature, but also maybe we could think about expanding it to the new users, you know, in the elementary school, so that they have a working knowledge of the pitfalls and dangers of the internet moving forward, so that give them a leg up on what to look for and what to stay away from. So it's in the talking stages. I have reached out to Debbie Boo, I've reached out to Dan Mance, I've talked to Jason, and so we're working on a number of aspects on that to make sure that there is adequate and robust internet service in the town for the residents, and try to address any of the issues that they may have.
Just for your notice, the senior center had a free breakfast a couple days ago, and Dan was the guest speaker, the librarian.
Yep.
And a couple questions brought about, do they have computers here for people to use? Do they have scanning abilities and stuff? So I mean,
Yeah.
it would be nice if that.
And the library's staffed. I thought about maybe the senior center, the community center, but it's
library-
not staffed, you know,
Right.
consistently type of a thing,
Right.
so.
Also, I have a question for Deb while we're here. When we had up on Conti Heights, I was told by, I think it was Verizon, that was the end of the line to have internet. So we were able to get Verizon to do our internet.
And I can't.
Does it go up further?
Nope.
It doesn't, so,
Well,
I
then
check it
that,
every once in a while.
then that would be an area to definitely look at expanding, most certainly.
that's, I told you I would check on that.
Okay.
I forgot. I'm so glad Deb's here, because,
Do you have cable TV? But you don't have internet?
No, I have Spectrum, but
Yeah.
Spectrum sucks.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get something else, and Verizon doesn't go that far.
Well, Verizon doesn't put new DSL in anything, because I think that Spectrum's costs are just out of this world. They have a monopoly, they should be regulated as
And every
a,
5 minutes it says your internet has been restored, your internet
Yeah.
has been restored.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be so wonderful.
yeah. So,
well, that's what they tell the Boston, but it's not the case. So just keep an eye out for when the digital equity thing, your input would be most helpful.
Okay.
and then supposedly, we got a grant that are for like $12,000.
That's the broadband.
That's for broadband.
That's the broadband.
So that's what that money be used for?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. Thank you.
And the Mohawk Trail Woodlands project, so going out to bid again, because we had bids that we couldn't fund. And that's for the survey of the 80 acres. And that will be due in my office via PDF email on June 22nd. And that's to lay the groundwork for the solar array, bottom line. And plus we'll have a survey and actually know exactly what we have there too, so that's another benefit there too. And do you want to do the EMPG on the digital sign?
What's that?
The Emergency Management Planning Grant that Mike has some money for the...
Oh, yes, for the
Sorry.
communicate, I got you, thank you. Yeah, there was, I forgot how much money it was, $27,000, I believe. Mike Williams got a grant for us to have a display somewhere for residents.
2,700.
2,700, sorry, 2,700. So Carl talked to me because we had to get a decision that day, was up against the deadline, and we were talking about where would be your town hall, the senior center here, and because in my opinion, the MVP grant may include one of those up in that area. We thought it was best if we could get a sign out here, and it'd be a digital sign like they have like in Cheshire, these other places, so that people riding by can see what's going on in
Down
town.
today or what have you.
Yeah, so Carl, you can take it from there. I don't know if,
And so we've done some pricing, it's within the $2,700. So I will talk with Mike, make sure he got that to the guy who was retiring that day. And we'll move forward. And so then that would improve communications with the
yeah,
community.
it's one of the hardest things that I found that with Clarksburg is there's not a coffee shop, a gas station, a restaurant in town or anything like that. There's no way to communicate, so I think that's very important that that'll be a good way for people to see what's going on. And then the Mass Works grant, I wanted to mention about that. I went online because, Carl, we went to a meeting there in last November, whatever, and they said there's 5 areas.
Yeah, I was gonna bring something up on that too.
Okay, well, I went and I researched it, and of course, one area is for urban, so we can't, but they did have one for rural communities.
Yeah.
And I went back a couple of years and I looked at what towns were applying for grants for, and I was a little surprised to see that one town, and I'll get them mixed up so I won't mention town, but applied for like renovation of their, not only their senior centers, but renovation of like town hall, and they got like $30,000. Also, I found one for like $300,000 a town for sewer updates.
That's where we're going.
And that would be perfect for like North Eagle Street. So, and besides the strap grant, which is another area for our road. So that's why I worry about you being assessor or whatever like this.
Yeah.
There are grants out there. There are a lot of hard work to go through. It's tedious, it's time consuming.
Yeah, it is.
But we've got to go after them because
So for our next meeting on the 28th, I'm hoping to have Andy Evans here from RCAP, and his specialty is water and wastewater, to assist us in, because we have the study from EDP for the sewer system. So we have, I think, 18 manholes that are in not good condition. And we have North Eagle Street is probably North Eagle and probably Millard Avenue. And then, of course, we have water line issues in those same areas too. And then you go to Southern View Drive and they've got pressure issues because of the age and the sizing of the pipes when they were put in. So what I'm hoping to do is to engage RCAP, Rural Communities Assistance Program. And it is a free consultant, by the way.
Great.
Free. And to assist us in doing, in tandem with Southern Middle Road, a water and sewer grant for North Eagle and that whole segment of the town. From talking to Kyle, North Hope in that area is fairly new relative to the rest of it, but the North Eagle, and that's why I'm very hesitant to pump any money into that. There's nothing that gets me, or I'm sure a resident, matter. You lay down new pavement, you're digging it up an hour later because you disturbed something underneath that was not in good condition. So that's my intent.
Yeah, and the good thing about these grants, separating them out, they got 5 different categories. The limit is $1 million, but you can, that's for each section. So we can get $1 million to do Middle Road, and then we could also get more money to do other things,
So
so.
that's great. We definitely need to
So we-
keep
we-
investigating those
Yeah.
more and try to get as much
Yeah, we
grant money as
we
we can.
gotta work on that.
Poverty is the mother of all invention.
And while we're on grants too, I know, last year when we were, missed the deadline for the, school lift, remember the ADA committee, Jim Howell and them were working on getting our ADA grant. Is that still in the works? Is when that has to be put in
By August.
by August?
Yeah, but we still have the grant from last year, so we've got the lift. I would assume that we're going to resubmit the same project for the,
ADA.
for the crosswalks and the entrance points.
The
There's a
entrance points to the
specific name,
school.
but I forgot
Yeah,
it.
there's entrance points to the
It
school,
was
even
$250.
the senior center,
Yeah.
like the entrance has got to be
Yeah.
smoother, it's really bad. There's no handicap door So that door is heavy to open up. People with wheelchairs try to open up and get in. So I mean, that was all part of this grant, but I just want to make sure.
And so as we get into a little bit into this month, and probably at some point next week, we're going to be dealing with the pavilion and things of that nature, but also I want to get to the ADA, and I am under the assumption we're going to resubmit for the same that we did last year, so I have a lot of that template pretty much squared away. If perchance they change their mind and want to do something else, well, I will give it the old college try. And I do think we have some time to do it. And we've done some preliminary engineering on the approach slopes or something like that it's called.
Yeah. No, they did a lot of work to do it, but again, I just worry that we get to the point of the end of June, summer goes by so quick. People on vacations and stuff, and I just want to make sure we don't miss.
People got vacations?
We don't want to miss any deadlines for August. Okay.
All right. 225 committee, do we have numbers?
If we do, you'll get tired of hearing me talk. We've been having committee meetings every couple of weeks, and you heard the list of people on the committee. I may be repeating myself on some of this, but each department, so like the fire department, the school, the council on aging, the MVP, there's others, the historic commission, they're all going to have booths there, and we'll have people being able to go by. We decided we are going to have food trucks. We have started a fundraising campaign. We got our first $500 from a business in Clarksburg.
Congrats.
And we're trying to raise, we figure if we can raise $4,000 to $5,000, we will be able to have a climbing wall that's like $1,200, a bouncy house, which is $200 or $300. Skip's going to bring a fire truck for kids to have hands on, and can have entertainment. Straight up set that they would be able to do 2:30 to 5 o'clock. And we're just going to have one big celebration and try not to have it cost the town any money. So we're working forward that, but I wanted to update everybody on that because I've been doing a lot behind the scenes. And
Do you think we're going to need like parking here and running a shuttle like we did for the
we talked about a shuttle, and we are going to discuss that at next meeting because we thought that people could park at the senior or the community center, up at the school, the town garage, and we were discussing that. So we haven't.
Oh, I remember the days of yore when we used to have the jamborees there. And, I mean, it was bumper to bumper and single lane traffic going through there pretty much. And if we had something similar to that today, we're probably going to even need to use parking down here and run a shuttle from here or something, depending upon what the funding looks like.
Right, and then that's why we were kind of waiting to see if we're going to have good response from funding. I've gone to all the banks in North Adams and some businesses around, and we're waiting to hear. A lot of banks have to go through corporate, so it's going to be a couple weeks before we know. But once we have a figure, then we'll decide how big it's going to be and what else we need to do. All the people on the committee are, the library was the other one, because they're celebrating their 125th anniversary. So like Debbie Bull is going to take care of that part of it. So it really is nice that each committee member is taking their own organization so that it's not too much in one. The good thing is Tammy and Steve Moranti are going to take care of the logistics. So they're going to take care of where everything should go and how everything's going to run there. So I feel we have an excellent committee. I appreciate people putting their time in, because all volunteer, of course. But it looks like we're moving forward, and September 9th is going to be a big day for Clarksburg. That's it.
All right, website. Is this the discussion for the adding the minutes to the website?
Well, I think Bob wanted to update the website too and maybe do a mild redesign on it.
Yeah, I would like...
There's some updating to clear.
There's some updating to clarify, to make it easier. Even this, it came up at the 225th anniversary of how we can get that date. Now it's set. How can we get this on the website? Who we go through? Who's in charge of it? This and that, plus having the minutes on. So I was just wondering how That was all going, are there any minutes posted yet? Or-
No, we're starting the new fiscal year.
We said, that's right,
Jason.
we said wait till
I just have to
July.
give him a copy of the minutes, and
Okay.
then once they're approved,
Okay,
and he'll put them right up on there, and he did add a link as well, so that people can just go, if you go to the select board tab for the meetings, you can go right to the Northern Berkshire Community Television, to be able to get to there quicker instead of Googling and searching if you're trying to watch a meeting or look at previous meetings.
oh, perfect,
So
Michelle,
that-
thank you.
That was added recently.
Thank you for all that. And so, a question from the 225th, what do we have to do to get that on the website and on the calendar, and maybe a little blurb about our,
I'll send you Jason's link.
okay.
I feel like it almost should look like a little advertisement across the top, like a little banner, announcing when it's gonna be.
Something
right on.
flashing, news flash or,
Yeah.
I.
Because I think
That's a good
communication
idea.
is a really big issue in Clarksburg, to get the word out.
It's not communications, it's lack thereof.
You got it. All right, so Jason is really the one then,
Yeah.
you give me a link that would deal, I can talk with directly. I don't want to go around anybody's back either. Thank you.
Okay, Peter Cook Memorial Field Pavilion rental, we're looking to...
Okay, so we
raise the fees.
revisited the rules of the road, if you will, and I thought that we had voted to change the fees. And we had not.
Thought we
I
discussed
thought
it
we did, but
maybe.
we looked
I
through the
know.
minutes and I think we discussed it, but I don't think a vote was taken.
Okay.
So I'm asking you for a vote. I'm thinking that, what are the numbers, 25 and 40?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
25 and 50.
25 and 50, I'm thinking 50 and 75.
And the nonprofit group stays at 50?
Yeah. I mean, unless you think otherwise, that's absolutely fine, but, we've put a lot of time, effort, material, and money into the pavilion, which I'm notified that somebody broke the ceiling in it. So I'm gonna go over and look at that at some point. And we're meeting with the Recreation Committee next week, Tuesday night. So we're gonna fix the lights that are in there, but I want cages over those things. This is, and we're probably gonna need at some point to put cameras from the DPW, good camera, to at least take in the whole field, because this is ridiculous.
A lot of damage always there.
Well-
And in that meeting, I know there was emails going around. I know Todd and Steve Morantes, Todd Andrews, they have trouble meeting at 4:30. I wonder if that could be changed to 5.
We can.
All right.
I'll get back to them on that. I got the one from Steve, but I haven't gotten the one from Todd, but, well, we've been here for.
Well, I know Todd didn't
We've
say
been here for a while.
It's just Todd said that a long time ago. He said it's hard
Okay.
to be here by 4:30 because he,
So the not-for-profit group, I mean, that means people from out of the area. You know what I'm saying, includes, should we be at $100 for that?
Now that you frame it that way,
It's not like, it's a local non-for-profit.
I feel it should be more than 50.
That was my initial thought, I feel 50, 75, 100.
well, why don't we make a motion to blanketly, give me some numbers you're okay with, and
And I'm open to discussion, I'm just, as my
let's
initial
vote
thought.
it and put it to bed.
Yeah, I actually thought, again, that the jump wasn't significant enough. I think it's still a deal at $75 for a resident. For the non-resident, 100, and for a nonprofit group, that 100 as well.
Yeah, I got resident 25 here, and I thought it was more than that.
I thought it was 45
Yeah.
going into this, but evidently not.
Right, so,
We're nice people, but we're not that nice.
Well, it's still a good deal.
It is. I mean, if you went downtown to try to rent a hall or something like that, it's gonna cost you more than this.
I mean, honestly, non-resident, I would rather see that at 100, and the resident one, I would either the 50 or the 75, I mean, the non-resident one, I mean, I would rather be at 100 than 75 at it. Now, the money from this, does this go to the general fund, or does this, okay,
If we wanted to, at some point in the future, set it up as a special revenue account, so that it only went into an account that would fund maintenance and repairs of the
Town field.
field.
Yeah.
That's something that can certainly be discussed. It would have to be done at town meeting.
Okay.
And if that's, we'll just have to remember to
Yeah.
do
I think
it.
it's a good idea, though, a special fund, so.
If you like self-funding.
And the horseshoe pits are in great shape. I dug out all the turf, and Lumpy's gonna get sand in there, so they're gonna be all ready to go
Nice.
soon.
All right, so before this goes by us again, let's make a motion for this. Is everybody good with the 7,500, or?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, look how much it just cost us to redo all the renovations to it, you know, I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
we were never, not that we're trying to recoup it, but in the future to keep maintaining it,
Yeah.
I mean, this will barely even break it as is, so,
I think that's good.
yeah, I'm good with it.
And if that's the case, I make a motion to raise the fees for the Peter Cook Memorial Field Pavilion rental from residence fee of $75, a non-resident fee of $100, and nonprofit group to $100 as well. And I need a second for that.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss meeting times for the select board, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So it was brought up at town meeting that people wanted us to meet at night. I've already got meetings at night between the rec committee, the ADA committee, the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District, and Briggsville. I'm going to be very honest. The limited time I have with my family is at night. I'm not in favor in any manner, shape, way, or form. If there is a burning issue that needs attention where people are going to attend, I would be okay with an occasional one, but I think as a practice, I'm not in favor of it whatsoever. I would also point out the person that was suggesting it is the one who instituted it, us meeting during the days. I think that understanding your own situations, and you're a family man with kids too, I get that. That's my input, and
Okay, so the issue is we seem to be going at different times all the time. We were originally at 9 and then 11, now at 1. So I think we need to choose a time, and if it's not, if we want to meet in the morning, and it's not convenient for people, then we can meet a different day. But I think we need to set
consistent.
a consistent.
I'm okay with consistent. I mean, I apologize, Bob, I thought 11 was your time, and that's why I put it on there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad you corrected that, and if it's 1, it's 1. If it's 11 or 9, I'm okay with that. I am.
Does anybody have a suggestion? Did you come
Well,
up with that?
I've been thinking about this because I do understand most towns have them at night, and most people work during the day can go at night, and that's the issue. And I'd like to accommodate that. But I was also thinking of if there's a way, maybe like the first meeting of the month, have in the afternoon, and then, try to have a schedule of every quarter, everyone. And then I just said, consistency is the most important
Absolutely.
thing. So I'm retired, I can meet anytime, but I do understand that people want to have time with their families, and I realize there are people here today, and people do come once in a while. But I also, at the senior center, brought up, and there are people there that don't drive at night.
Yeah.
They never come during the day, but they say they like that they're during the day, so if they want to. So, I mean, you're not going to please everybody. So my big thing is, if it's convenient and the select board feels that 1 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon, whatever, is good, I will go along with that. I just think the most important thing is they have the consistency of
I
it.
agree.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
And if Thursday, actually, and I know it's been historically Wednesdays forever, but if Thursday works also, that's something to consider. And one thing, when you have a Monday holiday, and then you would have that additional Tuesday to do the
Right.
posting for the Thursday meeting. Just as, just to put that out there type of a thing. And I'm not advocating, it's up to you guys.
No,
Once your
and
Thursday works.
and that's
either
part
way.
of the issue too, because I mean, I ran for selectman because nobody was running, and I just felt the need to have a full board and everything. But I'm retired, so like Wednesdays, I belong to a golf league Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Thursdays, in the winter, and it's all went from fall to spring, I joined the retired bowling league, which is in the afternoon. So it's hard because I know we all have our own schedules, but if we can come up with a schedule or a date that we all can be here and we're all consistent on, that would be great.
Wednesday at 1 PM works for me.
It doesn't not work for me, it just kind of takes up a whole day. Like, today I thought it was 11 o'clock, I knew we were gonna have a long meeting. I had made plans for like 2:30, and then I find out it's 1 o'clock. So, I mean, if it's possible, if anybody doesn't have an objection to a morning meeting, or I don't know how that affects you with your business. Maybe on a Thursday, do a 9 or a 10. I'm just, and I'm not fully retired like Bob, but I'm involved in a lot of other things, and it's just, it kind of,
Segments your day.
it really does. I mean, I'm kind of, yeah. And in these meetings, there's a lot more involved than there used to be. So, I mean, but again, if you want to do 1 o'clock, we'll do 1 o'clock. But as long as it's consistent. But it's pretty much up to you, Dan. I mean, you're the guy with the
Don't put it on me.
Well, no, whatever's convenient for you. And I understand that in nights probably wouldn't be convenient.
Well, you're running a business and you have like a young family, so I mean,
Yeah.
I could do, 9 AM like on Thursdays, I do have, a little bit more staff, my part-time staff works more in the, my few part-timers are more in the morning than afternoon. But I can make that work, the Thursday at 9 AMs.
What works best for you?
Like the Wednesday, I use, I don't take a lunch break, and that's kind of considered my lunch break, but I can, Thursday at 9, I can make that work.
I can do
It's not-
either. I can either do Wednesday at 1 or Thursday at 9.
So I'm flexible.
Any question?
Whatever you guys decide, it has to be consistent.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what we're
Mornings,
doing
I'm
right
gonna be
now.
honest with you, I'd love to see these chairs filled.
Yeah.
I'd love to see this meeting with our townspeople here. I think our town's losing out on a lot of things.
Well, let me tell you, I was on the select board for 5 terms. This is,
I'm one of them, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm one that
This-
never makes
this is
the
routine.
meetings, but I
Yeah.
want
We
to
met
be
at
part of
night.
the, part
but
of the
we
meetings.
did meet at night for 5 terms while I was on the board.
And nobody was coming.
Nobody shows. Nobody shows unless they have an
And
issue.
we were here at night for people to show, and we're on, we're on,
And they
TV,
don't.
we're trying to be as available.
I mean, if there's a burning issue, I think we can adjust our sails to the wind, but
Yeah.
Like there's a pressing issue that really, I don't know, it has town residents, that really want to contribute their opinions to it. I mean, we can make a
We've had
special,
those. We've had,
there's especially many times where we have to go to a school board meeting, we're meeting with them, we're meeting
Well, I know
at.
that it's not gonna get better unless it gets worked on.
No,
And I'll be honest with you, mornings, you're not gonna get nobody because people are working. The nights,
at 1 o'clock,
I mean,
we're gonna
I'm a
get.
part of a start, let's put it that way. I'm retired.
Yep.
I can make it any time. But I know that if I start coming to these meetings, I know there's other people that are gonna follow. But they're not gonna follow at 9 in the morning. If you want the town's participation, I mean, you only had 113 people show up to vote. One reason why, nobody knew about it.
well, there was
The sign out
silence.
front, I think is gonna be a great thing.
That'd be a big thing.
But I'm just saying, a lot of people didn't know about it. A lot of people don't care.
Well,
Let you
that
grab
that
mine.
is the issue right
That's the big
there.
issue.
So,
People are too
I
much on this
want to
thing.
get some people in the town to start caring about
So
what's
so
going
do
on.
we.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We've tried every time slot there is, and it's just, it's.
So whatever you
a lot
guys
of
plan,
bad-
I'll work with it, and I'll participate as much as I can, and maybe
Then I-
down the road, we can adjust it if we start getting people coming.
Then I don't have an issue with continuing with Wednesday at 1 o'clock, then, if that would work for
I think
everybody.
1 would be a little better, because I think if somebody has a burning issue and they want to come, then they would only have to take the afternoon on. Most people work, 8 to 12, they'll take a lunch or whatever. I think that'd be better than morning.
Okay, then let's make that happen, and we'll be consistent.
Wednesday at 1.
Second and fourth Wednesday, 1 PM. Perfect.
So is that an informal agreement, or do you guys want to motion it?
Let's motion it. Make a motion to have the Town of Clarksburg Select Board meetings meet on the second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 1 p.m. Need a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We're coming down to the end.
Discuss, view, and/or approve the relocation of the administrative assistant to the lobby.
So, actually had some very good input from Rochelle and Marilyn. And so what they suggested is that we take the door off to the mailroom and then do an L-shaped desk right here in front of it, so it's not going to impede the people that need to get into the mailroom, but it's also not going to be wide open for John Q. Public, if you would, to go into the mailroom.
And all the
And-
files will be in the mailroom?
Yes. And so then, that being said, then that would free this room up specifically for meetings, which is one thing that the planning board was specifically looking for. And I have to agree, you know, it's been rather eye-opening coming back and not having a meeting room dedicated to meetings. And the stuff, the data, everything, the records are here. They're not at the community center. And to have, you know, us meeting at the community center just doesn't make sense. And I understand, you know, there's some things that, you know, should and should not be public record, and so, you know, you want to obviously protect, you know, the data from the residents, and so, you know, trying to find a happy medium is what we're trying to do. So if you guys are okay with that, then we can move forward with that too.
And you're okay, you're good with that, right, Rochelle?
I believe it's the path of least resistance. Like, big weights and measures thing.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes the path of least
electrical outlets
resistance
right there,
is not
so-
making people happy. Will you
I
be
think-
happy with that,
yes,
you think?
I'm sure.
You'd be good.
Possible.
All right, when would be a good time for us to come down and help do that, or?
Well, it ain't going to be tomorrow because I got a meeting.
I honestly think if they can just get the door taken off, I can pretty much handle it.
Well, we're going to want to, no, you're not moving that stuff. We'll take, no, we'll take care
But
of it.
the main
Absolutely.
thing is the door.
Yes.
If
Can
you
we
can-
touch base Tuesday, you and me, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll make arrangements and
Let
figure
me
that
know.
out.
Okay.
I can certainly come in and give you a hand.
I have a hand truck at my house if we need to move anything.
Getting back to your question earlier, we have a lot of openings for people like yourself who are now taking interest, and I certainly appreciate that. Finance committee, all kinds of committees and boards are looking for people like such as yourself, you know, who have, you know, an interest in making the town better. So if there's anything that
What's your vote?
we have a whole list, and I'm going to bring up right now when Ron Boucher was here. He's our moderator, and he is the one who appoints people to the finance committee. And so if you or anybody watching or reading this is interested in being appointed to the finance committee, which we desperately need to do, Mr. Boucher has given me the permission to put his number out there so that you can call him. And again, his name is Ron Boucher. He's the moderator, and his phone number is 413-672-1898. And you know, if you express your interest in that, he'll certainly you know, help you out with that. And if you have any other interest, or anybody has any other interest in any type of community involvement and being on boards and committees, please get in touch with Carl or Rochelle, and we'll take care of that.
Yeah, and so I'll just add, it's so important too, because when we don't have like the finance committee, Carl had to spend hours going through the budget more than getting advice and, whatever like this.
10s and 20s of
And
hours.
we want Carl to obviously be working on getting grants and stuff. I mean, so things, we miss deadlines, miss things, and it's not anybody's fault. It's that there's not enough hours in a day and enough people to do things. So, in most of these boards, a couple hours a month sometimes. Maybe when you get to our town meeting, it's a little more, but it's not a big lift, and we really need it.
Yeah, town meeting is crunch time.
Anything else? Okay. Before, how much more before you go? All right.
No, we're good, thank you.
At this point, I would like to make a motion to close the meeting of the Clarksburg Select Board on Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 at 2:50. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeehaw.